Nachi free.
At this particular point in history, our voices are needed more than ever. As Toni Morrison once said, this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, and no room for fear. We do language. That is how civilizations heal.
I consider myself an artiste too, Scully. And that's why I'm going to weigh in on this public forum and sling some self-important bullshit too. I've got an opinion too, you know. Look, everybody is entitled to their political opinions because politics affects all of our lives. So when I read how Grammy Awards producer Ken Ehrlich encouraged the artists to make political statements, I was like, ka-ching. This is the ammunition I need for my next video because I knew many of these artists were going to get it oh so wrong. Like I said, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but your opinion can also be incorrect and based on inaccurate information and hysteria, as is the case with many celebrities that tend to lose perspective on not just how good they have it in life, but how good life is in this country. And when you have a worldwide audience listening to you talk about issues that affect the rest of us, don't be surprised when some of us take a needle to burst your bubbles. Now, the first example I'd like to point out is A Tribe Called Quest, who put on the most politically charged performance of the night, and how Busta Rhymes, who performed with them, referred to Donald Trump as Agent Orange. And I was like, is he aware about the actual Agent Orange, an herbicide produced by Dow Chemicals that was used in the Vietnam War to clear trees for carpet bombing, which was horrific, especially considering the birth defects it's still producing, such as in these pictures I'm about to show, which are pretty hard to look at, so I'm giving you fair warning. You sure you want to make a comparison to Donald Trump with Agent Orange? Now, if Busta Rhymes didn't know what Agent Orange was really about, and it was just a cheap shot at Donald Trump's skin tone, I don't know, that almost sounds like a racist double standard. Because let's be honest, if it were the other way around, and some white musician said that about Obama, and how he was light-skinned, they would have cut off his mic like they did Metallica's. But assuming Busta Rhymes does know about Agent Orange, that's a terrible analogy to make regarding the temporary travel ban. Because it's interesting how the same people who demonize Trump and falsely call this a Muslim ban regarding the 7 countries harboring terrorists, which Obama himself singled out, those same people didn't have a problem when Obama ended the wet foot, dry foot policy on Cubans, risking their lives out at sea in the last days of his presidency. I can't tell if you people are hypocrites or just historically stupid. Then there was Katy Perry with her analogy to walls and white picket fences, making a safe, predictable virtue signaling statement too, which I kind of agree with, considering my parents were immigrants. I wasn't even born in this country, and so I'm the last person to complain about immigration. But she's obscuring the fact that there is a problem with illegal immigration, particularly that of people coming into this country and having children they can't afford to raise just to collect the benefits, some of whom then go on to commit identity theft and theft in general, and yes, murder as well. But showing that side of the issue is not what makes you pose like a revolutionary hero. And I shouldn't be surprised considering that Katy Perry was married to this pseudo-intellectual Marxist dipshit, Russell Brand, who I used to admire until he decided to glorify Che Guevara, who was in charge of imprisoning and executing hundreds of Cubans without due process of law, and whose regime put my relatives into forced labor camps before they were exiled out of their own country forever. But what's really politically in vogue right now is white guilted virtue signaling, as displayed by Adele's blubbering tribute to Beyonce, as if Beyonce cured cancer or some shit. And I remember thinking to myself as I watched her speech, I was like, wow, is Adele contractually obligated to kiss Beyonce's ass like that? It was like kissing the ring of some mob boss. And then I thought, is this gonna turn into some race-baiting bullshit? And just as I thought that, she said this.
You are our light. And the way that you make me and my friends feel, the way you make my black friends feel is empowering, and you make them stand up for themselves. And I love you. I always have.
No, Scully. This has to be pointed out by more people. This is so unhealthy for a society. These false narratives are what's really dividing us as a nation. And sorry, but I don't feel the same way for Beyonce and Jay-Z, and I don't have to. I kind of like some of Jay-Z's songs, but I didn't appreciate when he too wore a Che Guevara shirt, which goes to show how politically misguided and ignorant this multi-millionaire businessman really is. He was proudly wearing the shirt of a communist oppressor who actually said that Negroes are indolent and fanciful in his motorcycle diaries. You know that book that people like to own but never fucking read? And he doesn't just own one Che Guevara shirt, he apparently owns a few. And he and Beyonce have donated millions to Black Lives Matter, who have helped push the false narrative that blacks are being systematically killed by white police officers. And the rage and resentment that narrative has created has in turn gotten a few more black people killed. Like Corinne Gaines, the woman who took it upon herself to not only argue with police officers for a mere traffic violation, but actually got into a shootout with police at her apartment after using her own son as a hostage. And yet not a peep about the ongoing black-on-black murder rates in cities like Chicago and Baltimore, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Miami, etc. Instead of pushing the slogan, "Stop shooting us," it would be a little more helpful if you change it to "Stop shooting each other." Do you artists not see how you are pushing a dangerously divisive and deadly idea based on conflating situations out of proportion? And how you're actually highlighting the wrong causes of why so many blacks, as well as whites, get killed by police officers? By only blaming it on racism, you completely ignore the criminal culture, the dysfunctional families, and yes, I'll agree, some of the corrupt police officers, which I've dealt with too. And that's why these problems don't get solved.
What I am,
You're right, Scully. It's only a matter of time anyway, until more people wake up to this. Enough people are seeing through this virtue signaling, pseudo-Marxist bullshit that's more about protecting your careers and your lavish lifestyles thanks to major corporations than it is about solving problems you profess to care about. You're just spouting a bunch of leftist, illiberal, misguided cliches and awarding yourselves for it while dividing the public with misleading information. You all think you're brave, but you're not. But there was one brave celebrity who dared to walk on the red carpet with a Trump dress, no less. Joy Villa. That's bravery. There is someone who is truly resisting the mindless trend of historically ignorant, misguided hysteria that is just as big, if not a bigger problem than Trump himself. And I'm no Trump supporter. My next video will more than likely be about how Trump is dangerously dealing with our judicial system with his obnoxiously vacuous tweets that are more than likely going to get him impeached before his first term's over. Hey Trump, it's going to be a little difficult to make America great again if you're out of office, you ass. You're right, Scully. I'll save that tirade for my next video. Thanks for watching.
Homegrown.